Okay, Damaris, you have mentioned some things that are really very important. You have said about guiding of the children. Guiding means rewarding and even the punishment. I don't know what you can say or can mention for us to have a difference between the parenting, current parenting and the previous parenting.
When I look at the current parenting, we have kind of, we live in more independent lives than the previous, where you used to live as community. In a community setting is whereby a child belongs to all the people in the community. And that way, the children that are brought up in the community, they are raised up by the community. And so the community have a way of guiding these children as one. It's like the child does not only belong to the parent, but belongs to the whole community. So it becomes a responsibility of every parent in the community to guide and direct a child. That way, we have many eyes that are looking at this one particular child, and so guiding this child and ensuring that this child does not go in the wrong direction. As opposed to today, whereby we have only the parent and probably the house help taking care of the child. And so that is limiting in that in today's parenting, currently, most of the parents are working. And because they are working, they leave their children in the hands of house helps. And the house help is not a parent. Probably sometimes it's a young girl who has been brought up to take care of this child and doesn't know how to parent the child. And so we have that gap of the right way to nurture the child. And the parents have become so hardworking in terms of the work is so intensive that most of the time they don't have much time to spend and to guide and to direct their children. That is the difference.
Viewers, you hear that much of the work we have left with our house managers to take care of the children. You can take that point. And we also hear that previously the child belonged to their society. If anybody find the child or children either going in a wrong way, the society was responsible to correct that child or to guide that child. But today things are different. It is only the parent who is supposed to guide or to nurture or even to correct the child. So, because of this gap that has been created, because we hear that it is like in previously, this parenting was a bit it was beneficial to the children. Are today's current children missing or disadvantaged by this current parenting?
Probably if I can be able maybe to take you a little bit backward.
Yes.
And maybe in my introduction I didn't talk about the different styles of parenting.
Yes.
If I can talk a little bit about different styles of parenting.
Please do.
We have about four major ones, although there are many styles.
Yes.
We have authoritarian, we have authoritative, we have the kind of parents that are called the parents that they allow their children, they are carefree or laissez-faire. They allow the children to kind of become authority in their homes, and there is a parenting that is, can I call them absent in terms of they are not there. There is, my son would call it kuku ya kienyeji. They are just left to care for themselves.
Yes.
And so this kind of parenting, when we become so authoritative, authoritarian towards a child becomes afraid. And when the child is afraid, this child does not grow the strong self-esteem that is needed. And so sometimes they have to lie for them to get away with things. When we have a parent which is authoritative, in other words, they are also allowing the children listening, but also guiding them, and also punishing them when it is needed, and so the discipline in a child is there. When we have a child, a less severe kind of parent who, when you don't punish the child, you tell them, if you do this, I'll punish you, then the child kind of becomes careless. They can do whatever they want. When we have a complete absent parent, the child needs to take care of themselves. And so they don't know what they are supposed to do or what they are not supposed to do, because they are on their own. And so even when we are talking about, just to respond to your question, when we are talking about what do we do now, what we do now is to ask our parents. And I always tell parents, it is important for us to look for books that teach about parenting, because we have many parents that have done it before, and they have tried the trial and error method, and now they know the right thing to do. And because they know the right thing to do, can we go ahead? Because this is a child that will be your child even when you grow up. And so you want the best for them. Why don't you invest a little bit and train yourself on how to become a better parent? That is how I would do. Go to seminars, find out how is it, how would I become a better parent? What am I supposed to do? What can I do differently? Because even in absentia, you can still be present to your children by talking to them on phone, finding them what they are doing, and also when you come, spend more time with them and find out. And when they realize that you're always present for them, they will have that strong self-esteem. Yeah.
Actually, you have answered one question that one of my parents said that it can be brought in this platform, where, because he says that today's parents, they are very busy working from 8 to evening, and so they don't have enough time to take care of the children. And so I think you have addressed it very well, and I feel the parent out there, you have earned what Damaris has answered for those who are saying that they don't have enough time to take care of their children. There is a question that he was asked here. A parent said that, actually not the parent, but some of the young people, they said that today life is very stressing. They are very stressed, and which is causing a lot of problems among the children and the young. Can it really be justified comparing the current and the previously?
If I can talk about, here I am from the previous. If I can talk about the previous, we were self-motivated. Self-motivated means our parents would leave us and leave responsibility upon us. And so we used to wake up every morning knowing that I have A, B, C, D to do. But unlike current parenting, because I'm also a current parent. Current parenting means I came to live in an urban area. In an urban area is not as the rural area. In rural areas, children are expected to fetch water, fetch firewood, look for milk the cows, and take care and look for napier grass for the cows, and do all this kind of manual work. But in town, we are living in small houses, and so the work in the house is very, very little sometimes. And in most cases, we have house managers as you call them. We have house managers, and so the house manager, by the time the children come home, they have cleaned the house, they have cooked the food. There is very little that a child is expected to do. And the much they are expected to do is to read. And they have been reading throughout the day. And so, because of so much reading, sometimes they need a breather. And the breather, sometimes the breather in town is also an expense. Because either you take your child to one of the malls or out there to do merry-go-rounds and all these, and even whatever you need your child to do, you need to pay for it. And so it also becomes an extra cost. And so it's still a challenge. But you asked, what can we do? I love children, because children are creative. Even in that small space, guided and directed, they will become creative. But what we need to do as parents is to have associations, not to be individual. To have and in those associations that I know my child is with so and so's family, and they are being guided and they are being directed and they are being monitored, because it's very, very important to monitor children and find out what they are doing. And that way they will start to do the things that they can do as children and bring out their creativity. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that, thank you very much, you are doing very well. You mentioned that the children of the current children, especially the children living in the urban area, they really have little to do compared to the rural areas where the children are engaged in a lot of activities, and we are creative to TVET CBC competent-based curriculum that is exposing children to doing all other activities. But there are times the children feel or complain that whenever they are giving little activities to do in the house, they feel as if it is a lot. And especially when they go to the boarding school or in the secondary school, they find it difficult even to do the duties that are given to them in the school. Could it be as because of the work that is given, little activities in the house which is done by the managers, or would it be because of the gap between home and the school?
Number one, sometimes parents ought to let go a little bit, and not to think that because I'm paying a house girl, my children or my child ought not to do so many things. Because I have realized over the time that even the house girl can wake up in the morning and leave. These house managers can decide, I don't have given up on this job, you are difficult to deal with, your children are just... So it is important to teach your children how to take care of home and how to do the small chores in the house, that they will not even have a difficult when they go to a boarding school.
And cut short here, you have mentioned something very important, like when some of your parents, when even their house manager introduces the small activity to the children, you'll find that the parent may feel as if my child should not be doing anything. My child should just watch TV and study. That is all for the child. Is it right for the in the area of parenting to be that way?
Well, you are doing a disservice to the child. You are doing a disservice to the child in that you are not letting this child become an all-rounder. Every child needs to be an all-rounder. Even a boy needs to know and learn how to cook. Learn how to clean the small things. Let them start with their inner clothes, their socks. Then we start with big clothes that they are able now to know how to clean and iron. That way, even when they go out there, even when somebody is on their own, another thing we ought to know, God forbid, that as parents, we never know how long we are going to live in this world. And because we don't know how long we are going to live in this world, it is important to give every child all the skills. And I talked about being an all-rounder. Meaning that this child knows everything that there is need to know. That this person can start on their own. I have noted in some cases, even where parents are well-to-do, sometimes some disaster happen and the parents are gone and the children are left not knowing what to do. But a child that have been raised with so many responsibility, even in the absence of parents, even if sometimes it's not by death, sometimes they lose their they lose their livelihood, either through they were employed, they lose their employment, and so many things happen. And so because of that, it is important to instill skills at an early age, so that this person grows up knowing that everything that is done is necessary. To remove a cup from the table and take it to the kitchen is necessary. To take it to the kitchen and wash it and put it in the rack is necessary. To take your clothes, clean them, hang them, remove from the hanging line, organize them, iron them, and arrange them nicely, it is necessary. So if that person grows with that kind of responsibility, even when they are employed, because today, even when people are employed, they find it difficult to concentrate in the work. So it is important, it starts at home. In the home, we really need a lot. There is a lot for us to know and to do to help the children for the next generation.
You hear, viewers, it is not a time we say daddy, mom, and we leave children just to relax there, or to just sit and wait for everything to be done. By doing something, it is help them to be someone. By not helping them to do something, it is like making them slave to themselves. So we have the last question that was asked by one of the parents. She asked that you are coming to do this presentation, and the question is, nowadays, in comparison to previously, the young people or the children, they are found in so many criminal activities, especially Damaris, like we have heard or we have watched from the media, where we have heard even a student or a pupil has killed the teacher, which was not happening before. Actually, like at our time, when we could see the teacher, we would stand up and almost salute the teacher. But nowadays, we hear the children going to an extent of harming or disrespecting the adults, or even the other younger people killing the adults. So what has happened with the generation, or what has happened between the parenting issue or law, that we are having this kind of criminal activities among the children and among the young people?
I will answer that question in part, but I would want us probably to do a more thorough job in explaining or expanding on parenting styles. Because I talked about authoritarian, authoritative, and I talked about absent parents, I talk about laissez-faire, and there are many kind of parenting styles. And this parenting style will determine the kind of adult or the kind of reaction a person does. If a kind of a child is raised in a certain way where they are given everything on a silver platter, they have a sense of entitlement. And I think that is something I would want us to work in depth. A sense of entitlement, and that is why they kill easily. Because I am entitled. So if the teacher is telling me A, B, C, D, and I don't want, I will eliminate them. Because I have that sense of entitlement. Another thing, we talked about, if you look at the Freudian theory that talks about libido and energy.
Yes.
Children have a lot of energy. And if they are not able to release the energy in the right way, they will release it in the wrong way. So it's important for us, and that is why we were talking about giving them duties, so that they can release that energy. Because every energy that is within needs to be released.
Yes.
And don't forget, the children have a lot of energy. As we are aging, so our energy is not as much as when we were young. And even when somebody grows here, you hear them saying, I feel pain here and there, because they don't have that energy. But for a young child, you will run from here to wherever because they have a lot of energy. And that energy needs to be channeled in the right way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. You hear parents, we have a very, very big or major role to play as far as parenting is concerned. We may not watch outside there and see a lot of crimes being committed, and we somehow blame the child. We hear some of these things have to come back to the parents. And by the way, does the government or the law have anything to do with this, or the policies? Do they have something that they can help this?
Number one, when we talked about the current appropriateness, when we were growing up, we used to have KVOK, only one channel, only one channel,
KBC or Moi.
that used to be opened at noon and to be closed at midnight.
Yes.
Actually at 4 to be closed at midnight.
Yes.
And so there wasn't all those. And nowadays we also have violent kind of movies. And this kind of violent movies, they make our mind think that killing is okay.
Yeah.
And so that is where the government comes in.
Yes.
And the policies comes in, that we need to control what our children are seeing. If you remember during the Corona year, if you allow me to call it Corona year, it is still here, but it is when the Corona was actually was announced in the country that now